Jamie here with Country Diggers. Today's video is going to be part 3 of the Pirates of the Florida Coast, Truths, Legends, and Myths by Robert Jacob. Okay, this is going to be the 3rd chapter called The Raiders of the Main. So stay tuned. Raiders of the Main. In Europe, Spain was attempting to take over virtually every country possible and had been almost constantly at war with the rest of Europe since 1556, when the Dutch officially allied themselves with England and France against Spain. At sea, Dutch and English pirates began redirecting much of Spain's treasure stream to their own governments. The English called themselves sea rovers, while the Dutch referred to themselves as sea beggars. The Spanish called both English and Dutch pirates pechelingues. I don't know if I'm saying that right or not. These privateers took prizes whenever they could, in European waters as well as the Caribbean and the Pacific. Throughout this period, all the waters north of the coast of South America up to Bermuda were referred to as the Spanish Main. These waters included the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico, and the waters around the Bahamas. It was called the Spanish Main because the Spanish government mainly considered them as the exclusive property of Spain. As such, the Spanish took a very strict view of any interlopers. In other words, no settlers allowed. Those who tried were met with immediate attack from the Spanish forces, which resulted in either their death or enslavement. The Protestant Reformation was started by Martin Luther in Germany in 1517. The Protestant Reformation played a major role in the colonization of the New World, especially for France. Martin Luther began the Protestant Reformation in 1517, and in the 1530s, a French scholar named Jean Calvin began the Calvinist movement, also known as Calvinism. His teachings rapidly spread through Europe. In England, his followers were known as Puritans, and in France, his followers were known as Huguenots. While Puritans were accepted in England in the 16th century, the Catholic French didn't take very kindly to this new form of religion. By the mid-17th century, the Spanish domination of the Caribbean islands and Mexico, with all the resources they offered, was becoming increasingly annoying to other European powers. Beginning in 1560, King Charles IX of France, IX 110, so that's 11, is that 11? I'm not sure. I hate Roman numerals. Anyway, he was King of France. Encouraged the Huguenots to form colonies in the New World. To the rulers of France, sending the Huguenots to the Caribbean seemed a win-win for all. France got rid of the troublesome Huguenots while establishing a foothold in America, and the Huguenots got to leave France and enjoy religious freedom in their own colonies. French Huguenots established a colony near present-day Jacksonville, Florida in 1564. Jean Ribault led the first attempt by the French Huguenots to establish a colony in the Spanish territory in the New World. In 1562, his small party built a huge settlement named Charles Fort on the coast of South Carolina, located between the modern cities of Charleston, South Carolina, and Savannah, Georgia today. Today, the original site of Charles Fort is on the Marine Corps Recruit Depot, Paris Island. However, that first settlement failed due to starvation. Ribault returned in 1564 and built a larger colony near present-day Jacksonville, Florida. That colony was protected by a star-shaped wooden fort named Fort Caroline. However, the Spanish discovered the colony, and in September 1565, they sent a large military force under the command of Admiral Pedro Menendez de Aviles to destroy it. First, he needed a base operation with buildings and supplies capable of supporting his force. But instead of a temporary camp, Aviles decided to build a permanent town that could support a new colony. The site he chose was along the shore about 45 miles to the south of Fort Caroline, close enough to launch a land attack. He named this new town St. Augustine. In 1565, Spanish forces led by Admiral Pedro Menendez de Alvarez established the fortified town of St. Augustine, Florida. Alerted to the Spanish presence, Ribault launched a naval attack, but as his ships approached the Spanish settlement, they were hit by a tropical storm that blew the ships about 15 miles to the south and wrecked them on the beach. While Ribault and his survivors struggled to stay alive on the beach, the Spanish forces marched overland and made a land attack on Fort Caroline. With the majority of the fort's defenders stranded on a beach about 60 miles to the south, the fort quickly fell and the Spanish destroyed it. Soon afterwards, the Spanish forces located Ribault and his survivors on the beach near an inlet and executed all of them. The inlet became known as the something in Spanish, but it's Spanish for massacre or slaughters. St. Augustine, founded in 1565, flourished as a colony and today is regarded as the oldest city in the United States. Meanwhile, tension between England and Spain was becoming quite severe. Prior to Queen Elizabeth I assuming the throne in 1558, her sister Mary I ruled England and had married King Philip II of Spain. When Mary died, Philip felt he had a claim on the English throne. Additionally, Elizabeth I was financially and militarily supporting Spain's enemies. England and Spain were now officially political adversaries, and war seemed inevitable. England was desperate for money, and taking it from Spain seemed to be achieving both political and financial objectives at the same time. Elizabeth I issued letters of marque to a select group of English privateers with orders to attack Spanish shipping and ports. The most successful of those was Francis Drake. In 1572, Drake successfully landed on the Isthmus of Panama, and his men quietly melted into the jungle to wait for the treasure mule caravan that regularly traveled from the city of Panama to the Caribbean. When the caravan reached Drake's men, they successfully ambushed it and took a huge haul of treasure back to their ships and eventually back to England. All right, next time we will start with Chapter 4, the first privateer raid on Florida. So stay tuned for Chapter 4, upcoming in maybe a week or so. All right.